Hi, so Saundarya, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you some very basic questions. Yeah. If you have to select between peace and violence, what will you choose?
Peace, obviously.
For yourself, you'll choose peace.
Yeah.
And what if you have to make that choice for your loved ones? Then what will you choose? Peace or violence?
Of course, peace.
Okay, that's good. 2 on 2. And you see random passerbys here, right? And if I ask you randomly that person walking there, what will you choose for that person? Peace or violence?
Peace.
Okay. So for the first two instances, I could figure out that because it was for you and your loved ones, so you chose peace, right? Peaceful life, right? No violence, no abuse. But when I talk to you about a random passerby, even then you chose peace, right? So just would like to gather your thoughts around this, that why would you choose peace for a random person?
Instead, I would want to question myself, saying, why would I want violence for anyone?
Right?
I would want whatever I want others to be treated the same way that I would like to be treated.
Wow, that's a really great answer. I mean, a lot of philosophical thoughts are based around this, that treat others the way you want to be treated, right? And that's a very fair thing to ask. So that way, if I have to talk about certain instances of violences, right? Let's say a man beats a woman, okay? And the justification that the man gives is because, I mean, he derives pleasure out of it, and also because he's physically stronger than the women. In that case, do you think it's justified?
Of course, it's not justified.
It's not, right? In that case, would just like to ask you, can you think of any instance where you think violence is justified?
Maybe to protect oneself.
Yeah, so that's also a great answer, and I think the whole justice system is in a way based on this, that if it comes to self-preservation or self-survival, then it becomes justified in that scenario. And also if someone else has done something wrong, then probably to punish them, we inflict pain on them, right? By, for example, if we put someone in prison, we are trapping them, right? Because they have done something wrong. So probably in that case, you would say that in a way it's justified.
I cannot completely agree with that, because I think even though they're put in prison, that I don't think they should be subjected to any kind of violence or pain. Instead,
even being trapped in a prison is a pain in itself, right? So just for the sake of the society, they are trapped there, right? So essentially you are saying that inflicting pain and suffering on anyone is not really justified. It has to be thoroughly scrutinized, right? There has to be a very, very, very strong justifier before you actually go and inflict pain and suffering, right? So that's really good to know, Saundarya. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. Just would like to ask you then what do you think if a person abuses a dog on the street? Do you think that is justified?
not at all. I'm an animal lover. I would not agree with that.
You won't agree to that? Yeah, because again the same reason, as long as the dog is not harming you or causing an issue to your self-preservation, then it is fine. Then it is not fine to inflict pain and suffering on them, right? Okay. Then would like to ask you, what do you think about other animals like chickens?
This is a very complicated question, because I'm a non-vegetarian.
But you just said you're an animal lover as well.
I am an animal lover as well. I actually do not like the industry where chickens are grown in such enclosed spaces with horrible living conditions. So I don't think that's right at all.
Just a moment. Sorry for that small interruption. So you said that you are an animal lover,
Yeah.
okay, and you would not want, and at the same time you consume chickens, right? Don't you think that by doing so you are inflicting pain and suffering on them?
I think I am. I have my own personal view about this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if others can agree on this or not.
But today your views will be pitched against your views which you presented few minutes back, that no one should be harmed as long as they haven't harmed you. We will judge your answer based on the justification that you gave earlier.
Okay. So I really do not like the meat industry and how the animals are grown in such horrible conditions and then they're sent away to be slaughtered. But I can say that as long as the animals are okay, I cannot say that either. I think anyone for their survival, they will need to, even if we are also killing plants when we need to feed ourselves, right? So in the same way, I feel it is okay for us to consume meat as well, but I completely disagree with what is happening right now in the world.
Okay, so let's take your scenario. By the way, that is a scenario which is practically non-existent right now, where the chickens are well treated and then slaughtered. But let's just go with this assumption that they are well treated, right? They have led a very good life, and then they are slaughtered for us to consume. Okay, do you then think it is still right? Because if we are killing someone, we are still inflicting pain and suffering on them.
Yes, I would say maybe not be greedy and have meat maybe every day or every week or something, maybe once in a few months. And if I would completely feel guilt-free about having meat if I maybe grow them myself, rear them myself, and then.
But even then, if you if you grow them yourself, even then you have to kill them, right?
Yeah, we have to. But we are also killing other organisms for our survival, right? It's not just about what we consume, it's also the way we live. I think when it comes to nature, it's survival of the fittest.
So that's a good point then. You're talking about survival, right? But tell me in all honesty, in today's day and age, when we are consuming chickens, do you think we are doing it for our survival?
No, not at all.
Okay.
That is what I was trying to say. I'm not at all happy with how things are, how animals are being treated nowadays.
Yeah, so I gave you an idealistic scenario where you are saying that you will be raising them. Even then, if you eat them, even then it is violence, right? See, if you are in a jungle, let's say you don't have anything, then probably even if you eat a human being, right, someone can say that even that is justified, and that there are documented cases that such instances have happened, right? But right now it's not a case of survival, right? And you said that in case of chickens, you will be fine consuming them once in 6 months or so, right? But even then, you will be slaughtering for your consumption, right?
It will be, but I think all of us are subjected to such injustice some way or the other.
Are we killed? You're talking about similar level of injustice.
I'm getting a little too philosophical, but
no, that's okay. I love philosophy. You can go ahead. Yeah.
no, I think it's the way of life. I'm sure at some point. Most of us have been privileged enough to lead a very good life, but I feel at some point or the other.
But it's not way of life, right? Earlier when I talked to you that it is essentially, if you really think about it, if it all boils down to the fact that a chicken or a group of chickens or a group of animals cannot offer an organized resistance to humans. They cannot raise their voice like how another group of humans would if they are subjected to violence, right? And that is the only reason, just because we have the might, hence we are doing it, right? for the longest period of time, if you really think about patriarchy, right? I mean, up until the moment when women started to speak about it in an organized way, they were treated pretty much in a similar way, right? I'm not talking really about I'm not comparing the victims here, but I'm comparing the oppressor mindset, right? It essentially boils down to that since I can, hence I will, which is not correct, right?
That is not correct, but I would also like to compare how we consume meat to how things are in nature, how animals, maybe not carnivores, but how omnivores consume. They can eat, survive on just plants, but they also once in a while eat animals, right? And that is also a type
even
of
when they
violence.
eat animals, first they do it again for survival. And an animal in the jungle eats only as much as their body requires for their survival, right? Because they do not have an option.
That I completely agree with. That's the only concept I'm okay with, even with regards to human beings. Eating just as much as you need is more than enough, and not going and getting greedy about it is something that I want to. That's this thing I want to stand by.
Yeah, but when we are consuming meat or animal flesh, I would like to call them, when we are consuming animal flesh, then essentially we are infringing on their right to live a natural life. And the reason I say so is because we can survive on a plant-based lifestyle, right? And today there's a scientific literature on this, that plant-based lifestyle is good for all phases of life, for infants, for women, for elderly, for elite level athletes. And we have examples from various spheres of life of various people. So we know for a fact that we can live on a plant-based lifestyle, right? I have been a vegan for 3 years now. I've been doing pretty good. I was a non-vegetarian earlier, right? So when I started thinking about all of this, I used to think in a very similar way as you are thinking, and I can think of you as someone who's very logical, and at the same time, maybe I'm wrong, but this is my feeling, that you have a lot of empathy. This is what I feel. And if you think from here, if you start thinking about all the reasons that will come to your place, for example, you gave the example of comparing us to an animal in the jungle. If you do a critical thinking on that, you will see that even that argument falls apart, right? Because an animal in the jungle, they are doing things for their survival, right? They do a lot of other things as well. For example, they will force themselves on their female counterparts and stuff like that, right? Sometimes they'll eat their own babies, right? We are not taking key cues from them when it comes to other aspects of life. But right now, in a country like India, in a city like Bangalore, where we have all the conveniences, there is no need for us. Literally, there is no need for us. And if there isn't any need for us to consume animals, then I'll get back to your earlier point. Then it is greed only, right? It's just because we can. It is greed. It is the taste pleasure that we derive from it, right?
This is something that I can't. I don't have a counterpoint for this.
That's okay. I mean, we are not debating here. I'm not here to win a debate. I'm just here to raise awareness, right? I just want you to think the way probably I thought, so that once you deep dive into this topic, and I'm sure that someone like you, if you do critical thinking on this, I have a very strong feeling that you will change your lifestyle. So, as you can see, all of us who are standing here, we are all vegans, right? Vegans means rejecting the commodity status of animals, right? Means that we do not see animals as commodities. We see them as individuals, yeah, who are worthy of basic rights like us, like any human being, like basic rights, like right to live a natural life, right to bodily autonomy, right to do whatever they please with their body, right? And right now, the way we are treating them, not trying to be insensitive, but I think this is the biggest injustice at an organized level that has ever happened. And the reason I say this is because every year 80 billion animals, land animals, 70 to 80 billion land animals are killed for human consumption. So after this conversation, I mean, you don't have to give any counterpoint, because you said, what do you feel right now? What's going on in your mind?
That I have to start thinking a lot more about the choices that I'll be making regarding my lifestyle. That is all what I feel I have.
The choices which should be consistent with your earlier thought when you said that you will choose peace for a random person. So essentially that's the point, that you do not want any other being to be subjected to any form of suffering which you would not choose for yourself or for your loved ones.
Yes, yeah.
So I will share some resource card with you so that you can learn more about veganism. And like you said, please think about making that shift in your life so that you choose peace for everyone.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you, Saundarya, so much for having this conversation. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.